This is potentially how your grip could be destroying your golf game tee to green. Hi everyone, my name is James Robinson. Welcome back to Get Good at Golf. Today we're talking about the grip, and we're talking about how potentially, if you grip it incorrectly, it could massively destroy your game. So we're going to kick things off on the tee here. It's a logical thing to do. We're going to play a hole with you, a gorgeous 17th hole here at Woolley Park Golf Club. And how can the grip deviate so much throughout the bag? It's such an interesting thing. Whenever I've played in pro-ams or I've been teaching people of all abilities, the first thing I generally look at is the grip. Okay, the first thing's the setup, then it's the grip. And for me, if the grip is incorrect, it's so difficult to A, create power, B, create stability, and C, just be consistent. Because if you're relying upon a bad grip, your release patterns are going to be all over the place. So you see here, if I put the grip with my driver in the palm of my hand here, so probably easier to see from that side. It's not in the fingers like I would want it to be, it's right down the palm of that glove. There was actually a really good training aid that I got from Me and My Golf, which kind of shows you where the grip should be in the hand, and it's not there. But so many people tend to grip it there, and it's quite an interesting phenomenon, because as soon as you do that, there's a couple of things you can't do. It just restricts you massively. So say if I grip it here now and that feels normal, if you're kind of new to golf, or you've been kind of getting into golf recently, so new to golf, you might think, oh, I'll just put it in my hands, because if I grip anything, I grip it in the hands. But then from there, I can't set the club as I want to. It's impossible to get the grips to work because the club sits in the palm of the hand. Imagine if you were going to grip a hammer. Imagine if you were going to grip any tool, you would grip it in the fingers so that you could use the wrists to do what you're trying to do. Fishing's the same. If you were trying to throw a fish out there, I can tell that I don't fish, but you would
throwing a fish out there.
But you would definitely not have it in the palms because you can't release the cast. Anyway, you can't do it. So if I then put this in the fingers, I can set that club exactly how I want to. Look at the difference there between being able to set the club here, and then if it's in the palms, that's me trying to set the club. I almost have to bow that left arm to get it set. And this is what you see often. You see this kind of bowed left arm, and you see it through impact as well. So you can only imagine how sporadic the strikes might be with this driver. If you don't strike driver out the middle, spoiler alert, you don't get the ball speed, you don't get the spin rate, you don't get the distance, and you probably lose a lot of golf balls. So let's put that in the palms. Let's see how this works, because all I'm trying to do here is hit a nice little draw down the right hand side of this hole. And to do that, I'm going to grip it a tiny bit stronger than normal and feel like the path works out to the right. All things considered, that is a great way of hitting great golf shots straight down the middle of the fairway with your driver, hitting it a little bit longer, hitting it straighter, and generally keeping the ball in play, which is crucial to you getting good at golf, especially with driver. Let's talk irons. Let's see how you can hit crisper, straighter irons by gripping it correctly, and then we'll talk about wedges and putters, because that is where you will really start to score better.
So let's talk about irons, and let's talk about what that grip in the palm is going to do. So obviously James mentioned on the tee, it is going to affect obviously the speed you can generate. We can't set the club very well, and then as a result we're going to lose distance. That's not what any golfer wants to do. So once it's in the palms here, to get the club back to where we want it to be, we're going to have to release. And if we have to release early, you're going to see that even with a mid iron and a long iron, I'm going to return with the same, if not more loft than I was potentially going to have. So you think about what all the videos you've ever watched about compressing the golf ball. Well, as soon as we get that grip in the palms, it is very hard. I can't get into this position where that wrist has a little bit of forward shuffling, because it's going to do exactly that. It's either going to stay very far open, or I'm going to flick it over. We're going to get it low on the face. We're going to get it either just going up high. And are you somebody who gets your 9 iron to your 6 iron all go the same distance? This could be exactly why that is happening. So once we've got that in there, we're limited to speed. So although your 9 iron is obviously shorter than your 6 iron, we might be returning the same kind of loft because we can't generate the speed. We're having to release, and then they're all going the same distance. And you don't feel like when you get to a par 3, you're like, well, I've got no club to get here. I might have to hit driver. I have to buy a lot more clubs. You then get a couple more hybrids. They're not doing the work. And then by the time you've done, you spent a lot of money, and we haven't really improved. So let's make sure that we get this across those fingers. So again, like James mentioned, the Me and My Golf glove is a fantastic way to obviously get a visual of that. We're going across the fingers, and then we're going to be able to take that grip. And I don't mind here if it's a little bit strong or a little bit weak, but as long as it's in the fingers, you can see I can really start to set this club. I can let this release, and with a turning body, I'm going to be able to take loft off. And that's the key thing here. We're going to compress the golf ball. We're not going to be casting. If we go back to James's great fishing analysis earlier, then we're not casting the club anymore.
Fly fishing in the future.
A bit of fly fishing. We're not casting the club anymore. We can actually compress the golf ball. We can start to get the ball launching lower, and we can start to be a little bit more aggressive to our targets. But even more so, you can start to be consistent with a ball flight. You can start to get it launching low, you can get it launching high. You can do whatever flight you want to do if we're not doing that. But more importantly, for those guys who obviously are hitting all the clubs the same distance, we will start to get a nice gap in between your clubs, so then you can pick the right club and they don't all go the same distance.
Okay guys, so you've successfully navigated the tee shot, you've hit some nice iron shots because the grip is now in the right place. What if you've hit a bad shot? What if you've missed the green? How do you grip it with wedges? This is something which nobody talks about, and you need to talk about it more because you need to be able to have the confidence and the ability to get up and down when you miss greens. Nobody hits 18 greens in regulation, not realistically. Even PGA Tour pros will do it every so often, but very, very rarely. So when you miss a green, it's important you know what you're trying to do to get up and down. So if I were to grip it in the palms here with the wedges, not only do you lose the ability to generate a consistent speed, so if I'm going to generate a consistent speed, I'll know how far the ball's going to go. This is the most important shot in golf, to know how far it's going to go, because you need to be really, really accurate. Driver, you've got a bit of a window of 250 to 300 potentially, where if you hit it there, you're pretty much happy, you're in play, you're going to be okay. Here, that window's not as big because you're trying to get it within 10 feet to give yourself more than 30% chance of making the putt. So if I have it in the fingers now, not only can I get a nice consistent speed through here, but I can gauge low point a lot better. Gauging low point is imperative to get the strike, so speed and low point working together can help you play shots like that, where you just know where you're going to land it, you know how it's going to release out, and you can see the low point was just after the ball with a nice little bit of turf interaction, a slight bruise, maybe not so much of a divot, and that's exactly what you want to be doing. You don't want to be gouging a big divot out here. You want to be able to stand here and just kind of glide the club under the ball, and you can see there again, distance control is pretty bang on. I bruised the surface, so the consistency is there. Now there's one club in the bag where you should be gripping it in the palms of the hands, and I'll give you a clue. It's the only club we've not spoken about, and it could be the most important club in your bag.
So guys, putting is the only area where we change, and the reason we change here is because we see a lot of people, if you are somebody who has the dreaded figure of 8 stroke and you start to see this going on when you're putting, that's because you've got it in the fingers. So when we've got it in the fingers, you'll see that my arms aren't connected to my chest. So my arms are working separately. From here, we start to get a little bit less control. So ideally here, what we want to do is, if I was to stand here and turn my palms to the sky, you'll see my biceps will become connected to my chest. We can then take the grip, but it's going to be a little bit more in the palms of your hands. The reason being for this is that will keep my arms connected to my chest, and then as a result, I can make a nice neutral stroke. And if I can make a neutral stroke, if I can get my ball line correctly, I can get a good green read, I should be able to hole more putts. But this is where, again, it is all down to setting that routine, having that feeling of your palms being to the sky, your biceps are connected, and then you can come in and make some strokes. You'll see it's a little bit more consistent, and James is going to come in with a proper angle now. From here, neutral stroke, neutral roll, and hole more putts. So guys, think about your grip. It's different obviously with your irons, driver and your wedges. As soon as we get on the green, we make a slight change, but focus on your grip. That's the only thing that's in contact with the club that's going to help you hit better shots and help you get good at golf.